McLovin, the poll question, the results before we bring in Richard Deitsch from Sports Illustrated.
Do you want to see reporters tweet out the picks or wait for the commissioner? Actually, tweeting out the picks has a slight lead.
All right. I think as a news gathering organization or organizations, you should be trying to get that information. But I think what's happening here is the NFL's putting on a show. It's a TV show. That's what this is. Hey, guys, don't do your job. But maybe there's a couple players in the first round that you're allowed to break news on, and therefore we bring in Richard Deitsch from Sports Illustrated, media writer for the magazine. Are there stipulations here for the first round, Richard?
There are stipulations for the Goodella-palooza. ESPN and the NFL Network, in a lovely gentleman's agreement, have decided, like you said, Dan, this is a television show, and they want the dramatic arc to entertain the 8.1 million people who are going to watch the first round. So while they have cameras in the green room, they're not going to show anyone on the phone prior to the selection of the commissioner, so that takes a little bit away of the tipping there. And then the big news, their talent, their information talent for the most part, their reporters, have been told not to tweet out pick-by-picks for the first round and into the second round. So you're not going to see Josiana Anderson, you're not going to see Ian Rappaport, Schefter, and Mortensen sort of tweeting out pick-by-pick before the picks come. The caveats are, and this is where it gets a little, I wouldn't say confusing, but subjective. Both Schefter and Seth Markman of ESPN told me if it's someone like Geno Smith, if it's someone like Manti Te'o, a major name at the draft, they will still tweet that information out if they are fortunate to get it ahead of time.
So it's selective journalism here.
Yeah, well, I think the whole night, in a way, is a bit of selective journalism. While there's certainly a lot of information gathering going on, both ESPN and the NFL Network are telling their reporters to go against what they do for 364 days of the year, 365 days of the year, except this day, and that is to hold back if you gain information about something. So if nothing else, for the first round for sure, and probably I would say into the middle of the second, you're not going to see an Adam Schefter or Mortensen tweet out a pick 2 or 3 minutes before the commissioner comes up.
How surprising is this for you?
It's not that surprising to me because, while as a journalist, I think philosophically I don't particularly love this, I've covered television long enough to understand what this is. And what this is, at its core, is a television show. It's a mega event for both the NFL Network and ESPN that brings them more viewers outside of any other game, or outside of a game that they cover. So I'm not surprised at this. I mean, ultimately, these guys are putting on a television show. There will be journalism there. There will be editorial content. But first and foremost, what drives everything is sort of the entertainment value of this draft.
We're talking to Richard Deitsch from Sports Illustrated, the media writer for the magazine, also SI.com. But I'm also trying to figure this out. Peter King says he's going to tweet. Jay Glazer says he's going to tweet. I'm going to guess Jason La Canfora from CBS is going to tweet. They're partners with the NFL. Why doesn't this blanket cover those insiders?
Well, they're not broadcast. They are. While there are network partnerships with the NFL, NBC, CBS, etc. They don't have the draft. So I am sure Jay Glazer, I know La Canfora is because I emailed with him the other day. They're absolutely going to enjoy this because they, I would think, have a significant advantage, at least against their very high-profile competitors. But one of the things La Canfora said, and I thought this was interesting, and as a fan of anarchy, I would certainly root for this. La Canfora thought that, if the draft kind of gets crazy and a lot of trades happen, and all of a sudden, you sort of see all these other NFL national reporters start tweeting picks out, it's going to be very hard for Mortensen, Schefter, Ian Rappaport, et cetera, to hold on to this ban because I think they're going to see that they're going to be getting beat pick after pick after pick. And if you're a journalist, and I think all three of those guys are, and very good journalists, in fact, it's very hard to sort of shut your editorial journalistic metabolism down for a couple of hours because of this larger edict.
Yeah. I agree. It hurts their brand. Something that we've invested in, they've invested in these insiders, and then all of a sudden you're going to say, nope, shut it down, guys. You know what? Take the evening off as far as breaking news.
I will say this, though, and this is, both the NFL Network and ESPN did tell me this, and I do believe them. I think they did hear a lot from viewers last year because we now watch the draft as a second screen experience. We either watch it on the NFL Network or ESPN, and then we look at it on our computer or iPad, phone, etc. And they did hear from viewers last year who were really upset that their insiders were 3 picks ahead of the television broadcast. So I do think their heart is in the right place in this sense that they do want to give their viewers a better television experience.
Richard, good to visit with you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.
Richard Deitsch from Sports Illustrated. So Geno Smith and Manti Te'o, if you find out anything about them, then you're allowed to break the news. Just the important stories, okay? This is almost like The Truman Show. Jim Carrey movie. Ed Harris is controlling this world, this bubble that Jim Carrey lives in. That's what this is. Commissioner Goodell. It's his Truman Show.